Russian drones are crossing NATO borders. Fighter jets are buzzing the skies of Poland and the Baltic states. On the ground, these look like dangerous provocations, but on Russian television, the story is flipped upside down. Europe, they say, is the aggressor. NATO, not Moscow, is preparing for escalation. This is the new reality crafted by the Kremlin, reality reversed. Why? Because Russians themselves are tired of the war. 4 years of fighting in Ukraine, tens of thousands of casualties, and rising economic pain. Polls show that 2/3 of the Russian population now wants peace talks. That's the highest number since the invasion began, and yet the war continues. If victory is out of reach, propaganda becomes the substitute. At the United Nations, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused the West of plotting attacks on Kaliningrad. He left out that NATO's remarks had been hypothetical. On state television, anchors like Olga Skabayeva and Vladimir Solovyov mock Europe as hysterical and divided. At the same time, they warn that Russia is ready to answer with missiles. It is a strange mixture, ridicule and menace, designed to convince Russians that their enemies are both dangerous and weak. The same message comes from Putin himself. At a recent Security Council meeting, he promised concrete military technical measures against the West. In other words, no retreat, only escalation. But here's the paradox. Russians are not calling for more escalation. They are weary. The government hides casualty numbers, avoids commemorating mobilization anniversaries, and silences families who protest. The economic cost is rising too. Taxes are going up. Inflation is biting. For many ordinary citizens, the question is simple: where is the victory? The Kremlin's answer is to invent a larger threat. If Russia can't win against Ukraine, then Russia must be fighting NATO itself. This narrative justifies endless sacrifice. It transforms fatigue into fear and fear into loyalty. Notice also who escapes blame. Donald Trump, now back in the White House, is treated with surprising respect in Russian media. His reluctance to denounce Russia is contrasted with Europe's so-called hysteria. This reinforces the idea that Moscow's real problem is with Europe, not America, and that NATO is fragile and divided. For Europe, this is not just background noise. The danger is real. Each drone intrusion, each fighter jet crossing NATO airspace carries the risk of miscalculation. And when Russians are told daily that NATO is preparing to strike, escalation becomes easier to justify. The bigger truth is this: Putin's regime cannot survive without confrontation. Propaganda is not an accessory to the war. It is the fuel that keeps it burning. Even as Russians long for peace, their leaders thrive on permanent conflict. Europe must be prepared, not only for Russian incursions, but for Russia's reality reversed. A war that exists as much on television as on the battlefield. A war that convinces Russians they are defending their country, even as their government keeps them trapped in endless confrontation. So the question is not just when the war in Ukraine will end. The deeper question is this: when a regime is built on reversing reality itself, how can peace ever truly begin? If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us reach more people. And for deeper articles on Europe, America, and the shifting world order, visit us at westernrelations.com.